Well, thank you for being here. Our first guest on the Crucifit podcast. And Guy, what's your last name?
Duplantier.
Say it again.
Duplantier.
Duplantier.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm honored to be here.
First guest.
On the first,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
We're excited that you're here.
How that worked out.
It worked out the way it was supposed to work out.
God made it happen.
We'll see about that.
It's not up to us. Yeah. So, Crucifit podcast, where we're sort of bridging the gap between faith and
high performance.
High performance. Yeah, that's our goal. So we're excited to talk to you.
That's awesome.
Start with a little prayer, then we'll get into it.
Great.
Our good and Heavenly Father, as we get into this podcast, I'd just like to welcome Guy and just pray that you will put the Holy Spirit over us and let us talk your truth and bring some people to you through what we're doing here. We pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Not a bad way to start the first one there.
Yeah.
Why not? Everybody gets a gift. I have no Vigilance Elite gummy bears, unfortunately, but you can get a mini Jesus.
You get a mini Jesus. Do you have a collection of mini Jesuses?
Yeah, we grabbed some from church.
Yeah.
This one says Jesus loves you.
Yeah, this one I think is supposed to say it.
Jesus was made in China on these ones.
He sure was. His hands might fall off, so
his hands are prone to falling off.
Be careful. He's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence the podcast.
Exactly. So I'm excited to hear your story because Aaron has shared maybe a sentence or two with me, but do you feel open to start sharing your sort of story about what brought you to the orchard, to church, to God?
It's a long story. I'm elk chili cooking, so I will try and get to the point on it. I don't even know. Quite honestly, I don't know where to start, right? And I had, when I did my baptism, last month, I had already started writing stuff down just because I wanted to. And they made me condense it. So I don't want to, basically mutter out the same thing.
I think this leads to one of the reasons I wanted to put a podcast together in the first place, is that everybody has a testimony story, but it's so condensed and you read out 3 minutes and then you get dunked in the water. And if you weren't there to witness it, or you don't remember it, no one ever really gets to hear your story. So for instance, I wasn't there, I didn't see your testimony. And so therefore I'm walking around the church and I don't know anybody's testimony or the full version of it. So I think break it down, give us the full version is the whole idea.
And I will say, I am going to make it a point to share that story, right? I've been a skeptic, if you will, for a long time, and not about God per se, right? But unfortunately, that skepticism just puts you in that place, right? And it makes you question, and that's primarily, religion, right? You watch the holier than thou thumpers and the rules, and and I've seen a couple denominations, and at the same time, I had really good example. In my grandma, she was a devout Jehovah's.
Oh.
But it was just that, right? It was the rules, and you had to, there was just so much to it. And that was so long ago, right? I was a kid, and if I wasn't with my mom, I was with her, and I'd go to the Kingdom Hall with her. And the one thing I will say is the people were amazing, and they still are.
Like friendly,
just loving, caring, everyone else first. It's everything that you read, right? But then you see what you see, and life is what life is.
People are who they are.
Right. And you don't really, if no one's telling you this is why you should do it, or this is the benefit of doing it, I don't know what that message is. When you are young and they say, do just to do, right? Rebellious soul, ultimately.
Of course.
It is what it is, right? You don't follow that path. And there was time where it was no faith, right? The why me's and the feeling sorry for yourself and stuff like that. I think, I shouldn't say I think everyone goes through it.
I mean, I did. Yeah.
Right. But it was just part of it. And part of the why me's is not the damning or damnation, right? But, as you're trying to figure life out, and you just start on your grind, whatever that is, you just lose sight of it if it wasn't something that was, front and center. I think for the front and center people, some of them slide and tails spin harder than us that weren't the front and center people, right?
I think there's truth to that.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of
the 99.
But anyway, so that's kind of the back story of it all, right? Kind of just enough faith, but not really having faith. I guess not in the way that I see it now. But then there's those things that would remind you,
that you can't deny.
You like absolutely right. And the more I think back on that stuff, the more it's like, oh, the whole time.
We talk about that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole time.
All of it.
You were right here. Like I had no idea. My daughter, my son, and just moments with my wife that's sitting over there outside of the camera shot, staring at me intense. It's like, wow, there's moments in there. I remember one and this one, and I'm not sure why this holds me so tight, but when I love my wife's grandpa, loved him to death. I'd sit there and I'd talk to that man for hours on end, and he'd just sit back, on the back porch on his little recliner that he had out there. And I remember when he was in the hospital sick, and he was literally on his last breaths, and he knew I was there, right? I mean, he's out of it. He knew I was there, and for whatever reason, I leaned into him, gave him a kiss, and I said, it's okay, you can go home now. And he squeezed my hand, right? And then I was like, okay, I said enough, right? Like, why did I say that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The
like,
Holy Spirit just came through you and you didn't even know.
Of all things I could have said to that man, that's what I said to him. So that's like the thinking back stuff, right? And it's just like, wow, that it was always there. But I would say more recently, like let's say the last year, and it's just been poof, 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 like these flashes of light just hitting me. Sitting there, I was talking to my buddy's wife, and they're pretty, pretty devout. They're in church. The whole family's in church, and we had a conversation one day at an archery shoot, and she was saying, we were talking about it, and I'm like, religion kills spirituality. I feel like sometimes it just knocks it all down.
Right.
Well, then after that conversation, I just had this. It kept running through, and I'm like, what does it mean to me? What does it mean to me? What does this all mean to me? And that weekend, I was staying at a little cabin for that shoot, and the whole freaking time, that's all I could think about. Like, what does it mean to me? What does it mean to me? So that was kind of the first, I guess, loud whispers.
This is in the last 12 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is, I would say, probably just shy of a year ago, maybe like June or July of last year. It was July of last year. And then I was coming back from New Mexico. We were getting ready for our hunting season. We guide and stuff down there and coach, elk hunters, deer hunters. Yeah. And I was coming back from one of those trips, and I'm rolling up I-25, and my playlist is my playlist, right? Like, my musical taste is pretty eclectic. And I mean,
I love that.
I mean, it's all over the place.
That's fun.
Recently fell into some country due to my wife.
Oh, well,
not a huge country fan, until recently.
Welcome.
And 30, DB 30, I'm cranked all the way most of the time in my truck. Windows are down, and I'm just flying up the highway. And it's like the usual playlist. And then all of a sudden, this Christian song comes on. And I was like, what? And the first time I did it, I was like, that's weird. And just kind of hit the button, went back to the usual playlist. And I don't know, some miles up the road, I can't remember. I think I was hitting Pueblo. And it was just after I come into the state. And I got about Pueblo. And then boom, it happened again. And I,
Okay, what's going on?
all right.
I hear you.
All right. And I just let it play,
Mhm.
right? And it's playing, and I'm like starting to get in the groove of it and everything. And I'm like, okay, this isn't bad. Well, I'm driving, and another one comes on. And then all of a sudden, I'm like wanting to weep.
Yeah.
I start like checking I'm like, what the heck's going on here, right? So, I'm like, all right, I'm going to save this song and just, keep rolling. That was that experience. Wow, there's been so many freaking.
That's the Holy Spirit is just moving.
Well, what's funny is, and I'll probably repeat myself 10 times as I try to mutter through this stuff. And that's what the wife will say. Oh, the Holy Spirit's getting you, And I have those moments all the time, and it's kind of a trip to me. We were down elk hunting, and one of my buddies down there, Gilbert Ornelas, Big O, Texas. That boy he has a gift of gab like no one I've ever met in my life, right? He has all these crazy, deep South Texas sayings and whatnot.
He lives here?
No, he lives in Texas, but we, hook up in New Mexico with the guide and whatnot. And, we'll get over a meal and Gil will pray. And he would pray so hard that it was like, I'd hear it and I'm like, whew, right? Like, man, I wish I had that connection.
Yeah.
I wish I could pray like that is really what I said initially, right? And the thoughts just like became, how do you get there? How do you feel that, right? But every time he would do it, I would feel it, and it was just like, whoa, right? And I was almost taken back by it.
They're like desperate prayers.
I don't know if they were desperate, but they were so powerful and just like pound the table, bless the meal, and the meal is blessed. Like
you felt it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And there was part of me that was like, man, that's just Gil. But there's another part of me that was like, why am I hearing this loud? Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first part of elk season. So September, we were down there.
This past September.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then I had to go back down to to train some of our guides and coaches for some rifle hunts, and Gil wasn't there. And I'm like, yeah, dinner's going to be amazing because you're going to get that praying. Well, then, RC Knox is there, and RC's an old cowboy. I mean, old cowboy, but a legit cowboy. And he's in there cooking, and Gil's not there. And I'm like, oh man, they got to have this thunder. And RC could pray too. So I call RC and I'm like, RC, I need you to pray over this meal. I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But there is no way I could do it.
I
suck at praying. I still suck at praying.
Well, I'm sure you're great.
And RC comes out and does his thing. And I'm like, oh man, that was, it's awesome. And it's just louder and louder and louder. And we're down there hunting. And it had been a rough few days on this hunt. And I have this bull, and we're just walking, and this bull comes out, and he's like 30 yards away from me. And I'm like, oh, just frozen. Joe, bull, bull, bull. Joe stops. He's behind a tree. He can't see anything. And I'm hunched over and I'm frozen. And I'm like, oh, this is a chip shot. Like, this is a nothing shot for me, right? And this bull's just staring me down, trying to figure out what I am. And I'm just starting to do this, and I'm breathing hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, get it together, dude. Get it together. And the bull turns his head, and I draw my bow, and I'm like, you're dead. And I let the arrow go. And as soon as I let the arrow go, I knew I had foobarred that, because how I run my pins in the field. I won't get into the hunting side of it. Anywho, it goes over the bull, and it's been a long time coming, bull. And frustration, anger, immediate regret of not staying in my game. I hit my knees. But when I hit my knees, I should have pounded the ground. I should have thrown my bow. I should have cussed, screamed, and hollered. And I said, oh, this is where you want me.
Wow.
And
out of just kind of that came.
it just came.
Yeah.
Right?
Goosebumps.
Me
That was it,
too.
like,
Wow.
and
Oh,
not to say I wasn't frustrated and upset. Right?
of course.
I was devastated. And kind of pick up the pieces, into that scenario. We chase after them. They ghost. And then we're driving back to camp. We're in the side-by-side. Well, excuse me. And Joe, my buddy Joe Gilia, he's driving and he just, boom, stops abruptly. And he looks over at me and goes, "Hey, man, God loves you." And then it was just like, okay.
Too many
now
taps on the shoulder at this
right,
point.
now it's like
Yeah.
uber profound, right? And I'm like, goodness, man. And so I dealt with the frustration and the anger part of it.
Mhm.
And, that has a way of speaking louder to us, right?
Right.
Than
Mhm.
everything else. So, that was at 10 and this was at a 5.
Yeah, the enemy's loud.
And a couple days or whatever, a day or two, and I'm rolling out of camp. And it's a long drive out of that place. I mean, it'll beat you up. It's a long drive. Well, the whole drive out, I'm thinking this is where you want me. Like, and I'm going through it and I'm like, all right, like that was loud enough for me to understand it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's something here,
Yeah.
Right.
And, elk season goes by and whatnot. And whenever I'm on the mountain, it's, my thing has been for years, just like, thank you for the opportunity, right? Thank you for the ability to be out here and do this. And, you catch that sunset in the morning or the sunrise in the morning, the sunset in the evening, and just give thanks, right? Or you're sitting there and you're in awe at an animal and you're like, thank God, right? This is beautiful, and you're looking up the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And in my head with no real recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like just hey, like a, hey, thank you, but
Yeah.
not like lifting my hands
It's
up.
like a surface level.
Yeah.
Right.
Gratitude.
And just not like this recognition as to who is actually behind this. And more and more curious with it. And so the music is changing, okay? And I'm listening to more and more, Christian music on the sneak. The wife has some on her playlist, and some will come up, and I'm like, all right. I wouldn't say anything, but I'd be like, yeah, just let it play. And then if I'm, driving to work or driving home, whatever it is, I got this stuff on now, and I'm listening to these songs driving, up or down 82, and I would literally start boohooing. Right? Like I had no idea as to what is going on? Like, what am I weeping over here?
Right.
But then every time I had the best way I can explain it was like this wholeness and this weightless, sounds crazy. Like
no, it doesn't sound crazy at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a similar story. I think because I think people commonly mistake that we've been doing this faith thing for a while, but we started this year, last year now. But it's a very similar story. It's like being tapped on the shoulder for as long as I can remember, since I was 12, just always being tapped, just quietly tapped. And then when I spoke to Pastor Daniel about it, the way he put it, two things, but one thing he said is like, you didn't come to church looking for God. You came to church to stop ignoring him. And I think I hear that in your message too, that persistent God who would just keep knocking and knocking and knocking and knocking and knocking and knocking until eventually you either listen or
you don't.
Yeah, I guess you don't, but it's hard not to. At some point it gets louder and louder and louder and louder and becomes it becomes so hard to ignore. And I think we have friends that aren't understanding how we've gotten here. And that's what you said right at the start is how I kind of look at how we got here into this position, because we spoke about this many times, but I've seen way too many things that would prove the existence of something more powerful. And I've seen so much of it that to deny it at this point, just because I can't understand it, that makes absolutely no sense, because it's not my place to understand it. So because I have a pea brain and I can't figure out some of the stories in the Bible, I'm going to discount all this stuff that I saw and felt. And like you said, like with this warmth, like
what is
You don't discount
Yeah.
that because
Right.
you can't
No.
understand a story, or because some other imperfect human, and like we're a bunch of imperfect humans in an imperfect
Yeah.
world trying to chase a perfect God. People make mistakes.
You know, what's funny that you
Yep.
say that is all this stuff, right? All the whispers and intimations at this point, to me, it never equated to going to church.
Yep.
Never equated to religion, right?
Yep.
Not at all.
I'm the same. I grew up Lutheran and I was raised Lutheran in the church. And when I was 17 or somewhere around that, fully left it and was like, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any of this. And then it took years of God being like, hey, Crystal, tap, tap, for me to finally even hear it. And then to go from hearing it to taking action took even longer. Yeah.
It's funny because, you know, as we're talking, I'm thinking about it, and our granddaughter was born. She'll be 3 in a couple weeks here. And I remember when she was born, drove up to Washington, and they're in a little house, right? Just starting their family. And so I rented a trailer, and I had the trailer dropped off in their driveway. And I'm like, I'm here to help, right? Let you guys get your rest and whatnot. So I would get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, creep in the house, check on the baby. And I remember one morning I went in and got her out of her cradle, and we're sitting in, and I would lay down on the couch with her and I just put her on my chest. Well, then the one morning we're laying there, and for whatever reason, I stood up with her, and we're standing there, and it was like she already knew who I was. Right? Like you already know me. And then what I equated it to at the time, like that, like there was a connection there, and I was like, what I told her at the time, as I'm holding her and feeling this and looking at her, and I'm like, you know, your mom told you about me, right? Like that was the conversation I'm having with a week old baby, right? Now I'm like, oh, like that's way more than what that situation was in the moment, right?
Yeah, because you can look back on it now with a different lens.
Oh my goodness, right?
It starts to make a lot more sense.
That same feeling, right? Like the same feeling. I don't remember where I was. So anyway, I'll skip through because I forget where I was.
That's all right.
So, you know, this is going on. The music thing is happening, and I'm a music head, right? Like I like songs that make me feel. Like I'll hear a good song and I'm like, oh yeah. So that part of it's been pretty important in this journey.
So he spoke to you through music, you think?
Well, and I think, you know, part of where he needed me to be was in a place of there's no strife, there's no turmoil, all intents and purposes, everything is the way it should be from my lens.
Yeah.
I got a wonderful wife, I got amazing kids, I got beautiful grandkids, everything is on the line. Not to say that there's not little bumps and stuff like that, right? But everything that I want in front of me is in front of me, right? So I think part of this for me is he knew where I needed to be. And part of my skepticism has always been people find religion when there's hardships. Right?
Raise his hand.
People find prayer when there's hardship.
Yeah.
Now maybe that's where you needed to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me and my skepticism, I think I know at this point is I couldn't be in that place. If I was in that place, it just wasn't going to sink in.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to take hold. It never had before.
Yeah.
Right.
And part of my thing through all this has been, and this is kind of going into one of your bullets, is, and I won't delve into yet.
That's all right.
Is the pride part of it, right? Because I never gave the credit. Where the credit was due because I didn't see it. What I saw was my effort and hard work, and my wife's effort and hard work, and us, you know, fighting and clawing tooth and nail, you know, for our family and for each other, right? So it never struck me that way.
Right.
So where he was meeting me was outside of that. Right? Even with the elk situation, right? Like I love being on the mountain. I love getting my butt kicked. I love going out and going, what's over the next ridge? I mean, that sounds so cliche. But that a lot of times I'll pass animals because I want to just get there. Right. And, so I think part of that is just him leading me and saying, okay, you're where I need you to be. Here I am. Right. So like I told Pastor Jake, the path was clear, the door was open, the light was on. And just like Aaron said, I had a choice, right? I can say yes, or I could say no.
Right.
And at this point it was like, okay, I'm walking down the path and I can see the open door and the light on. So I went and I grabbed my iPad and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start reading the Bible.
Yeah.
And I open up that Bible and I'd get home and the wife wasn't there. Again, I was sneaking around.
Oh, were you?
Well, because
You're having a relationship with Jesus.
right. So I'm reading this and I feel like a third grader, right? I'm like, I have no idea what is this?
What does this
Yeah,
say?
like, what is this?
Yeah.
So I do that a couple days and a buddy calls me just to call me and he goes, hey, what do you need me to pray on for today?
Had he ever asked you that before? Or had you ever heard him ask you that?
I think he's asked me that. No, I think you've said I've prayed for you, but I don't think he's ever just like specifically asked.
Yeah.
And I go, well, since you mentioned it. And we get into this hour-long conversation, right? And he's like, ooh, man, you got it. And kind of gives me some insight and everything and tells me his path and his story very briefly. And I'm like, thanks, brother. And so I stew on it a couple more days and I'm fighting through this Bible and, it's hard, right? You're still sneaking.
Are you going cover to cover at this point?
Yes.
That's worse way by the time we're men.
There's almost, you feel this vulnerability with it, right? Like,
I did the same thing. Yep.
Like, how do I don't even know where to start. So I go, Dennis. So I shoot my buddy Dennis a text and, Dennis is a really, really good man, devout, but very non-judgmental about it. Mm-hmm. He understands, right? And so I shoot him a text. I'm like, dude, I got to talk to you. And calls me a couple days later and we get into it. And he's, he's to the moon. And he's like, start here. And I'm like, and dude, I grabbed the King James Bible and I have no idea what I'm doing. And he laughed and he goes, yeah. So he sends me a bunch of stuff.
Get the NIV starting, John.
Yeah. And then I believe it was that night when I walked in the house and kind of like, I'm out on the back and I was sneaking on that conversation too. And I was like, okay, I've been praying a little bit, asking, for the insight. And I said, hey, babe, I bought a Bible. He just looks at me and goes, good.
Aww.
And it was pretty funny to me, right? And I knew she was going to be like, hell has frotheth over. I'm reading the King James, so everything is overeth. And I know she was probably just confused as all get up about that one. And she just says good. So it opens up the conversation, right? And I just told her, like, I'm sitting in my chair, she's on the couch, and I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what any of this means, right? And she was raised probably a little bit more directed in religion, and through her grandma and family there. So there was it was like a little bit more. I could just glean a little bit from her. But the biggest part for me was just letting her know this is where I'm at, however soft that message was in the moment. And we began to talk about it a little bit and she goes, well, I got a church. Like, now at that point I'm taken back. I'm like, you do? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, as long as it's not like Baptist or Catholic or anything, I did not even know that there was non-denominational churches. Like, I had no idea. I hadn't been to church in, I think we went once or twice when our kids were little. And my thing with my kids was I didn't want them to experience religion or God the way that I experienced it. And not to say that it was the wrong way or wrong approach, but I think that, a lot of times with religion and with God is it's familial, right? It's what your family has done. So this is what we're doing. Well, that might have been good in the 50s and 60s when families were tight. But as families drift apart, you lose those traditions, right? And I think there was part of that. And, love my mother to death. I think she was holding on to those things. And there was no real purpose in it. I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. So for me, it was like, I'll never force that on my kids. It's your decision. The path you walk is your path. I'm there just to, I always use the analogy of, you got the cartoon and you got the rocks going across the river, and two of those rocks are turtles, right? As they walk that path across the river, I'm one turtle, she's the other, right?
Yeah.
That's all we can do as parents, is how I've always viewed it. It worked too, because our kids are.
You got how many kids? 2 kids?
I've got 3 kids. Yeah, we got our oldest boy. He's a sheriff. Our daughter, she's in marketing, and then our youngest is going to school to be a lineman. So it's just all this stuff just coming on top of it. And I think that was like maybe a Wednesday or Thursday, and that Sunday we were at Orchard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah, it was pretty quick, because for me, it was just like screaming loud, right? Wow. And still wasn't really a commitment. So that was early November. And then, Friday nights, our date nights, if I don't know, 20 years or something like that, every Friday night we go do date night, unless it's hunting season or, we're visiting the kids or the kids are over or something, and we go and have dinner and just hang out with each other. And we're coming back, and as far as I could tell, everything is perfect. Like, we are rolling, everything is great. We had a great dinner, and we're about halfway to the house, and she just starts boohooing, and I'm like, what's going on, right? Like, she is my priority, right? Like, my wife is first. That's my everything, period. And she's freaking out. And I'm going, like, I have no idea. Like, okay, this is out of my control. I can't do nothing about this, right? And as a husband, as a man, like, that's part of, like, protect her, right? And protect her peace, protect her physically, whatever that is. That's my job. I can't do a daggum thing, right, at this point. And we get home, and I go out in the back, and we have a little boulder wall in the backyard, and I have my little spot that I selected that I've been getting on my knees on, because it looks clear up to the mountain. And I get on my knees and I say, you know what? That's it. Right there. That's it. I'm done. It's yours.
Total surrender.
Everything is yours. I'm not trying to control any of this anymore. You help her. Shed that light on her that you've been shedding on me. Give her this feeling, and I'm done. Like, it's not me anymore. Like, you're steering the wheel.
This is not my battle.
And that was it. That was the moment that took all of them over. Because as soon as I did that, the amount of weight and that feeling that I talked about, with that wholeness, that warmth, it was 1,000-fold.
Wow.
Like, it was just over with. Everything was over with. It was just like, that was it.
That was your moment when you stopped questioning stuff.
That was it.
Everything.
Like, absolutely it. And when I felt that, I knew, I was like, this is 110% real. This is not some subconscious, this is me doing it. It was just like, that was it. You hit home. I'm walking through the door. I'll close it behind me if you want me to.
But I'm not going that way.
Yeah.
Going back that way.
Wow.
Right? Like, this is it.
That's the way the term born again comes from.
I mean, it was, what's interesting? You could go back and listen to some of my podcast, and I got a mouth. I got a mouth.
Never heard anyone with one of those.
Oh, no. Like, to the point where it was just part of the vernacular, right? This is how I talk, right? You hear the things like, oh, people that use profanity are more honest, blah, 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 blah.
Smarter, I've heard.
It's just, it's all fluff to make it sound better.
Right. So, but those things, you hold on to them. But you're there, right?
Yep.
What's funny is I have not one iota made a conscious effort in changing.
Mm.
When I started reading, it just started going away to the
Interesting.
point where somebody would say something and it would hit me and I'm like, what?
That's what I said about the podcast recently. I heard someone swear in a I'm going to say I'm an ex-military and Australian, so we swear. That's just what we do. But I used to be, there used to be an appeal to the podcast where they'd swear a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind if it's Danny for salad. It doesn't seem to hit the same. But then I heard somebody swear on a podcast the other day and I was like, this is, I don't want to do this on my podcast.
Right.
So this doesn't sound right. Like it felt gross.
Interesting.
Well, it was the weirdest thing, right? When I started noticing it, no conscious shift.
Just changed.
It just changed, right? Just
Yeah.
changed. So then it's like, okay, I hear somebody and I'm like, but I don't want to be that thumper.
Yeah.
Right. So you just kind of like,
Well, I think you just let them do them, right?
yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
there's been a couple times where the wife said something and I'm like, hey, watch your mouth. But yeah, that was the moment. And then everything is just, these reflections and then this just continued reading. And that's been phenomenal, right? It's like up at 4, I got through the Word app.
Yep.
I'll try and read a chapter in whatever book. But up at 4 and that's all I'm doing. First thing I do, make my coffee. I'll put my headphone in so I don't wake her up and I'll just start listening.
Yeah, interesting, because I went through that for a while doing the Bible app, and then sort of not even on purpose now, it is without question the first thing that goes into me now. Like, it's not Instagram, it's not the Wordle, which I love. It has to be Jesus.
It starts your day.
Mhm.
You're just, everything starts
Yeah.
much better,
Yeah.
right? And for me, at least, it's been that reminder of what I need to let go of, I guess. Right. And as I reflect on this, I think about my podcast, and the reason that I started that podcast, I love hunting, absolutely love hunting. And when I started, there was hardly any hunting podcasts. Who knows how many there are now? And I'll say I started for the right reason. And as it's evolved, I've lost sight of the reason, right? Because you get gear and you get this, you get accolades, and Instagram is blowing up and downloads are blowing up, and you go to a convention and
that pride kicks back in.
Well, it's the idolatry, right? I don't want to say it wrong because my wife's
it's not adultery.
Not adultery. Yeah.
And so I've really been reflecting on that lately, right? And it's just like, I don't even know that it's going to keep going because of that reason.
Interesting.
I've been focused on the wrong things, right? What song was I listening to on the way up here? There's a few songs that stand out to me. I can't think of it now, but in there it says chasing things that won't last.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's been speaking volumes to me since I heard it. Like, are these things that I've been chasing or I am chasing, are those things that won't last? And it's a dilemma.
Right, because we spent our whole lives working to build things that we think are ours forever.
And that's what makes it so hard to let go. I found personally, to take that step into this lifestyle, the hardest thing was that I knew there was part of me that just, even before going to church and really reading the Bible, I think there was a part of me that knew that I would have to turn my back on everything I'd built. And it was all built in pride and sin, and none of it was healthy, but I built it, and I knew that I was going to have to let it all go. And I think there's particularly for men, there's a lot of fear about leaving that stuff go, even if you know it's not good for you. We don't like to completely turn our back on something that took so long to build, even if it was built in the wrong temples.
Right. And I'm not going to say it's not hard or the decision hasn't been hard, right? I don't want to do it out of this rushed, like, I got to change everything.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm just, all I've been doing is praying on it, right? And reading on it and just trying to understand what any and all of it means at this point, right? Because it's actually shifted. I got my podcast. I'm on my the other podcast with my boys, part owner in a 3D archery shoot. I have a small gear company that, I taught myself to sew so I can.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's not going anywhere. We'll just say that. But the other things, right, that kind of empty chase or empty pursuit, I think a lot of that just comes down to that's when I started chasing or using the passion to chase the wrong road.
Right.
For the lack of a better phrase there, those things are easy right now for me to just say, I don't need them.
Yeah, that
it doesn't bother me at all. Right. Like,
yeah, it feels natural.
Yeah. Just not even a thing. And for me, like if I'm committed to something, I'm one of them dudes. Like I'm either not in or I'm all in.
I'm the same. Yeah. I think.
I mean, we started a podcast on the Christianity that we found 6 months ago.
Right. There you go.
We're in. Well, that was one of my questions for you is what's been the hardest thing to walk away from? So I guess you kind of answered that. Something I'm curious about, because what I heard you say a couple times in talking about accepting God, accepting Jesus, and that part before you were down in your garden, when you like, I'm going to sneak the Bible. I'm going to, you know what I mean? What do you think that was in there?
Probably a little bit of trying not to have my wife go, uh-oh. Right.
Yeah.
And realistically, like, it didn't matter to me. What she thinks of me is what matters to me.
Yep.
Right. I mean, there's, what she thinks of me is what I think of myself.
Wow.
Type deal. Right. And so it wasn't like a hesitation, but I knew she would be like, she said it one day. I think we got back from church and she just goes, I'm kind of shocked. And I'm like, well, I'm not a heathen.
Yeah.
I just, you lose sight of it. You have your questions and, there's just that not disbelief, maybe unbelief. Like, I know there's a God. I know that these things happen there's a reason why, like this happened and that happened and this happened. And, you can't look at your kids or talk to your kids or look at your grandkids and not understand that that's a gift from God. Right. So I think there was always those connections, for me, I used to say like church, my mountain's the church.
Yes. Yeah. I did that for a long time. Nature is my church.
But I did. Go on the mountain and I would have the conversations. Like,
absolutely.
Have the conversations. Yep. I'd run out on a ridge and I'd get to almost ridge end. And I'm just, up there dancing and blowing. I should be chasing elk and I'm spinning around on this big boulder. Beautiful this is, FaceTiming I tried to FaceTime the wife. She hung up on me that time because she was at work. FaceTime my buddy Gil or Joe that you guys was talking about. And I'm like, look at this. I'm in God's country, So the connection was always there.
Right.
But it was like just enough faith type dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe just enough faith to understand that I had to do things a certain way. Maybe just enough faith to where God was like, okay, that connection is there. I'm not saying that was even me. Right. That was him. Right. Like that wasn't me. I could have just fallen off the Richter,
Yeah.
just absolutely flipping amazing. Especially when you start to look back on it.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal.
It's the question I wanted to ask, as you mentioned it, you said that now looking back at some of these moments with a different lens, well, that was the words I used, but what is one that stood out to you that you now look back at and it makes an entirely different amount of sense based on a new lens?
The most profound was me falling to my knees after that bull. And the first thought that comes to my head is, you want me there? And then when we were coming back from her birthday dinner and I went out back and surrendered and said, hey man, it's all you. Like, it's all you. Those were the two most profound.
They're the profound moments. I mean, like, what about looking back in your life and being like, wow, I didn't realize that was God, but now I see that was God.
Every bit of it.
All of it.
You and I had a brief conversation, right? I grew up in South Central Los Angeles in the heat of,
The 90s.
the 80s,
80s.
right? Crack and freeway shootings.
Good
right?
music.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I realistically, at some, looking at where I come from and looking at, the friends I had in that environment, should I have made it out of there?
Dead or in jail, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Should I have made it out of there? From the birth of our daughter, not understanding anything, and then just the constant struggles that we had trying to build our family, trying to build our life.
Just fighting.
And yeah, but always to seemingly come out on top.
Like God showed up.
Right? Like
Yeah.
smacked in the butt. We had our first place, could barely pay bills. The gas would get cut off, and I would go outside and I'd spin open the gas meter, pull the plug out and put the thing back on, right? Like just, hand to mouth living, essentially doing what we had to do, fighting for our family, fighting for each other. Losing that place, and then, going and just walking in and going to look at a house and just going, hey man, before you guys even, do anything, let me tell you the story.
Yeah.
Right. Like just it just lines up. Just everything lines up. Right. Like I'm gonna give you a little struggle, but you say, I want this, and I can say, yeah, it was our hard work. At the end of it, you look back on it and you go, was it that hard? Like it was a little bit of a struggle.
In the moment, right? In the moment it felt hard.
Struggle, but everything that we have asked for, and I'm speaking for my wife to a point here, everything that we have asked for, we have achieved and succeeded in.
Yeah.
Right. Now, some of that is our fight for each other, but that's God playing his role in our lives and going, here's the path, here's the path. To me, it led to where I was, where I didn't have any doubt that our life is good or bad. Like our life is good. Do we not have, we have struggles. The pastor today, he talked about those bumps.
Yeah.
Right. You stood on the bumps, and that hit home for me. Right. It's like, oh yeah, we stood on those bumps. Right. And we stood on the bumps and we just jumped over the couple troughs in that whole cycle there, but we stood on those bumps. And I can't think of anything as I look back and go, that wasn't God. That wasn't God. It was absolutely, it was at this point.
Yep.
Makes me almost wonder how much of those struggles we do feel is just us struggling with the situation, and we should just be letting him control.
I would agree to a point, but I think, like I said, for me, I needed it. I needed to understand, right? And it was, and everything you read is God's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yes.
God's perfect. That, I could read that 1,000 times and I just kind of chuckle at this point and it just goes, absolutely perfect timing, right? Because if he would have spoken to me, or he'd have smacked me on my backside, or whatever you want to call it, in a time of struggle, I probably would have ignored it because my opinion of it was people find religion when life is hard. Like even when I pray, right? If you're on Instagram or Facebook and a friend posts something, or somebody's ill or somebody died, I'd say a prayer.
Yeah.
Right. I'll pray for somebody. I would not pray and ask for anything because I wasn't praying all the time, right? So for me, there was a dilemma there. Like
I can't ask now if I'm not,
right.
Why
am I going to talk to you now when I'm in a time of need and I can't talk to you any other time?
Galley Roll wrote a song about it.
Right. But that was me. Like,
interesting.
I wouldn't do it. Right. Like there was a dilemma within me. And that goes back to just enough faith, guy, right? Like, I just wouldn't do it. So it's just, now it's like, I'm praying.
I love that.
I am.
That's
praying.
great.
It's interesting. It's funny. Because you go, the wife said it first. I'll say it now. I'm shocked.
Do you shock yourself sometimes if you're praying? You're like, wow, I'm praying. Holy cow.
No, not anymore.
No.
At this point, like I've relinquished that control. There's no point in fighting it.
So I told Pastor Daniel that I was really working on my surrender and letting go of control. I have a very hard time doing it. he told me if I can figure that out, that he'll write a book with me and we'll make millions. So maybe you need to write a book with him because I have yet to figure that one fully out.
That weight
Mm-hmm.
that comes off when you do it, and even in my career, right? And I don't necessarily view it as a position of power, but everybody around me will,
Right.
right?
Like you're the boss.
Even that, I'm like,
Nah.
like I don't want it. I don't want it. I just I want to do right by people. I want to live the right life. That's kind of been, at least for years, that's been my motto. It always hasn't been my motto, right? Because you get in those why moments and you're like, F the world, because of whatever the situation is put in front of you, right? You just feel beat down, but it's, you always want to do right by folks. But the control part of it, I tried. It wasn't working.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Right. He kept showing me.
Yeah.
Right. And the person that means the absolute most to me, just like breaks down for no apparent reason. And you don't have control of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care about control of anything else.
Yeah.
Was that hard for you? Because it sounds like you take a lot of importance in kind of guarding your wife, protecting your wife.
That's how I view it is I'm supposed to protect her physically, and I'm supposed to protect her peace.
And so when you couldn't do that in that moment,
if I can't do that, if I don't know what the heck's going on, right? Like I'm not okay with that. I'm just absolutely not okay with that.
That's beautiful.
Period. Like you could do anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
You take those two things from me and we got a problem. Like I'll say that.
Wow.
We got a problem.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, to me, it sounds like I'm not hearing that you really had to give anything up this path. Like God spoke to you and came to you and you're feeling.
Or you were just willing to give.
Yeah, you were willing to.
Well, the pride part of it, right? To understand that. And I think, I had a conversation when I talked about my buddy Dennis and then Ephraim, and they both mentioned that, right? Is the pride part of it. And as soon as they mentioned it, I'm like, okay, I just got to check myself on the pride part, right? So it was relatively like an easy thing, like, okay, and I don't mean pride like foolish pride. I mean pride in that I've done and built everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. I'm fine with that, and it doesn't hurt my feelings.
Love that it doesn't hurt your feelings.
It's like, but after so many things that happen, for happenstance, air quote, like if you will, to just again ignore all the signs, like ignore the whispers, all the intimations. Okay, my family knows about this one. I didn't even tell the wife until the kids were here for the holidays. And when I get home, in the afternoon, I'll sit down with the dog. A lot of times I'll pass out on the couch.
I love it. I love a nap.
And I'll sit down with the dog, and as of late I've been reading the Bible, and I turn on Netflix or whatever, and I'm just kind of scrolling through, and I think it was like 40 Days and 40 Nights, right? This thing.
Oh, that movie about the guy and the girl. Yeah.
No. It's Jesus Story.
Oh, it's a different one than I was thinking.
What you're talking about.
Chick flick.
Oh.
I'm watching a chick flick by myself.
We've got problems.
We got problems.
Okay.
But so I'm watching this, right? And I'm getting there, right? I'm about to hit the nap time, and I'm just about to sleep. Okay. And I even telling the family, I felt, crazy saying it.
Don't feel crazy with us.
I get this.
Yeah.
Jesus is in front of me, but like opaque, but surrounding me at the same time. Like I'm standing in this opaque being, and I can see him as he's in front of me. And there's a dove coming down. That it was after that, like it was unbelievable. Like everything else, just to see that, to feel that, that one's hard for me to talk about, but I
Yeah.
figured I'd just bring it
Thank
out
you.
here. I don't know what that meant.
Yeah.
Right?
How did
But
it
was
feel?
it was, I'm in your presence, or you're within me, or something along those lines,
Mhm.
right? Like that was what it was. And then as soon as I saw that, I was wide awake. Like,
Interesting.
it was, yeah. I mean, I still ponder, was that, me dreaming? But I never felt nothing in the dream that I carried after I woke up.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Like it was pretty
It's different.
interesting. Super different.
It's beautiful.
Um,
I'm like,
but
that's lucky. Cool.
I don't know.
Roll with it.
Oh, I have been
Yeah.
rolling with it all. That was what, 11/11/25. That's when I surrendered.
That dream? Or no,
No,
in
no,
in
no.
your garden.
And then 12/21/25, I got baptized. So I'm full on board. Like
Yeah.
I'm riding the Jesus.
You're riding for the brand now. Cool.
It's been a interesting journey. Because you're trying to figure all this stuff out, right?
Yeah.
Like through that unbelief and through your doubt and, your skepticism and religion ain't for me. And, it just, when everything hits you like a wet mop to the face,
Mhm.
like, what do you do?
Yeah. And I always go back to, like, religion has a lot to answer for people's faith. It really does. It's been a huge deterrent for a lot of people who have seen and experienced all this stuff that you have, and then the religion part has stopped them really pursuing it. And that's ideally what we want to try to help people with, to understand that there's a difference between faith and religion, for sure.
110%. What's interesting is going through this, and it's been a little while, but I used to love like vampire movies, like horrors and stuff like that. And there was a point where it was just kind of a turnoff. Like I couldn't watch it. Right. And then, I can get pretty involved in political jargon, we'll say. And it'll consume you.
Yeah.
It will. It started getting to the point where it was just like, no, like I don't even want to hear any of this. I don't want to see any of it. Like it's just bothering me on a different level. Like there's no anger or anything to it. It's just bothering me on a different level. And
I don't think there's a truth to it.
Yeah.
Like when you read the Bible, there's you can feel a truth, and then there's certain things that start to make sense in your life that you can now start to appreciate with a different knowing. And there's a truth and there's a natural order to things. And I think that's why there's certain areas of our life where we can look at it and be like, and just know instantly that's just kind of, it's gross. It's like you watch that movie and you're like, there's no natural order to this. Like there's nothing here, but you can read the book. And I've been down this like self-improvement journey for as long as I can remember. Like I've read every single book to look for like one little nugget of information I could take away. And it's all in this book.
Yeah.
All I had to do was buy the most bought book that was ever sold.
right.
Yeah.
Instead, I bought 1,000 other ones.
Yep. Well,
Crazy.
Like when you talk about the political thing too, it's interesting to me is I view politics in our society as like people putting their faith in politicians in the way that it would be ideal to put your faith in God. And so getting wrapped up in all of that is just disconnecting you from God. And so if your goal is to be connected to God, it feels, I mean, society has like infinite ways of disconnecting us from God, right? But it's easy to start seeing that, or easier for me now. I'm like, oh, that was what that was. You're like, you want me focused here, so I'm not focused here, right? And you're easier to control if you're not focused here and you're focused over here.
Absolutely. What's interesting is, we'll watch period pieces, as my wife calls them. And just watching those now, right? Where you got, dudes on the battlefield, Braveheart or whatever it is, right? And you're watching and I'm watching this stuff and just whispers in that, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Are we that horrible? Are we that removed from what what the intent was, to where this is okay? Like, it's weird. It's weird not to even want to see that. Like, I used to love, military B flicks and C flicks. I watched that stuff. She loved me for, right? And it was like this disconnection from all of that to a point, right? Still with the music and stuff. But even like there's songs on my playlist now where they'll come on and I'm like, oh, get it out of here.
There's even songs I would let my kids listen to, and now I'm like, no way.
Yeah,
no way can you listen to this.
I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to listen to it to understand if there's a better meaning than the surface level
Right.
stuff, right? Like it's been this mind switch, this heart switch, and I'm been completely fine with it. That's
beautiful.
the crazy
You
part.
like want something deeper in everything that you do.
It's not even the wanting something deeper, just I don't even know how to put words to it. That's the hardest part with this,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Is I don't necessarily understand all of it. I just understand where I was supposed to be with it.
I love that.
Right here. And then just that understanding has kind of led me down the path. But then you look at it and you go, well, man, that was the jam, right? Or, oh, I used to love that movie. Like I said, I used to, like Blade. Remember Blade?
Yeah.
Movie? I used to love that movie, right? And then you start
Wesley
reading,
Snipes.
yeah, you start reading the Bible and it talks about, not drinking the life and things like that. And I'm like, oh, maybe that was the turnoff.
Well,
Right? And I had to even, the movie and music thing, the movies and stuff, the television was first. And then the music's kind of waned over the last few months when it comes to that. It's just been a very interesting awakening, if you will, for me.
Have you had pushback from anyone?
No, and if they push back, then peace out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Working on that too.
The one nice thing about it is, I used to say, oh, I have a small group of friends, right?
Yeah.
I'm really, I would say all intents and purposes, I'm pretty, standoffish with folks. I don't need your garbage.
Yeah.
And, going to church and we're in church like 7 months ago, I'd probably been like, man, don't say nothing to me. Right. But now, like,
interesting.
go to church and I'm in men's group on Wednesdays, just out of the blue with all this. Right. And we're going through church and I'm shaking hands and stuff. So I know the wife is like, this is a little bit crazy to me. Right. Because it just wasn't my personality. Like, even in hunting, I was good solo hunting for years. Like I wouldn't go on the mountain with hardly anybody, if anyone at all. And it better be the right person or they were going to catch the wrath and they were going to know that they weren't the right person. And now I'm just like, yeah, whatever, so there's this, it's like, it's just lining up. And, it sounds so cliche to bring up stuff from church to me in this, but they say, love God, love people.
Right.
And that speaks volumes right now. Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting.
It's fun to love God and love people.
Well, when you are not necessarily not loving God, but when you're not in that realm of, the love people part of it, right? Unless they mean something to you. But then now you can see the value in it, right? It's a trip. It's a trip.
It's so much easier to love people when you realize they're a creation of God also.
And for me, that God's given me grace over and over and over and over and over again. And so I need to be better about giving other people grace.
That part right there is huge, right? And and the usage of grace, we'll say, because that's a bait word nowadays, means something different when I hear it.
Yeah.
Right. And that part is, giving that grace is something phenomenal. Right. And then when you decide, hey, I want to walk more like you walk. Right. Like that's huge. But the weight that's not there when you make a decision to.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't have to judge you. You are who you are, and I pray for people. Like, you piss me off, I'm going to pray for you before I'm going to get mad at you. It's very interesting.
Well, I still get mad, but I will pray. I'm working on the getting mad part.
It is crazy, especially, and Aaron can relate to this, and I'm not saying I'm a Billy B.A., but when you know what you're capable of, and you can walk that walk and be that person, there's something hugely powerful about that in my head. Not jumping to anger and just I put my head down or say a quick prayer for somebody. I mean, rock and roll. Like, it's been absolutely amazing to feel this, to go through this, to meet the people that I'm meeting now, to have, this conversation. Yeah, I didn't close the door behind me, but I just started switching on the lights more and more
Yeah.
and more, and hope, I just hope more people can find it and not be resistant to those whispers. I mean,
Yes.
it's not anything but God saying, "Here I am."
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
I'm not here to judge. Here's my hand.
it is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. What I'm learning now is the salvation part of it. Right? I mean, it wasn't a play in any of this, right? Like, I don't pray on that part of it, right? But now I'm starting to understand that part of it. That's heavyweight too.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Right? That's some pretty heavy weight, just as you start to understand that. I mean, this journey hasn't been about, as far as I'm concerned, hasn't been about me. But to start understanding that it's about me, and then it's about, what happens after I leave this body, where my wife goes, where my kids go, like,
That's
huge.
grandbabies. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Would you say you feel a calling on your heart from God?
I feel like a calling on, like, my whole presence, like my whole being. When the kids were here, all the men in my family got devotionals from the son-in-law to my youngest boy. Got devotionals. I started a text thread with all of the men in the family, and I said, "Hey, everybody, as you're reading every day, chime in on this text thread and send it over if something strikes you. um, you know, this road that we walk as men is kind of rough sometimes, and it can feel daunting and dark. This is your place, right? There's no judgment here. What stays here, and my exact words were, tell the significant others that this is a thing, but that's as far as it goes. What happens here stays here.
Yeah.
And it's not just a heart tug.
Yeah.
It's like every bit of my presence. I did my 2026 goals. I don't really do resolutions. We never really have. And I have some personal goals that I want to achieve. And, on the top of the list was get stronger in my faith. Like, what does that mean? And that means supporting them in any way I can in this. I wasn't the spiritual leader of my family because I thought, let them do what they want to do type deal. Now I have that opportunity. And it's like, it's not just a pitter patter.
Yeah.
It's like my whole being, to answer your question. Right?
Yeah.
The presence of it. I bought my grandson, our oldest grandchild. He's 8 now. Happy birthday, Mav. He just had his birthday. I bought him a action Bible.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
they have them for
Bibles
free
all
at
over this
church.
place.
Oh, that's where I got
Oh,
one.
good.
So we bought him one.
Yeah.
And then I was in, and I had a sit down with Pastor Jake before my baptism. And he's like, "Oh, I got this."
Yeah.
So I took it, and what I did is I sent one for Christmas because he couldn't come out. And I kept one.
Yeah.
So then, just about every night he FaceTimes me, and I go in my office and I sit down and we read it. I read it a couple pages, and he reads a couple pages. And then when he's about, plumb tuckered of getting corrected on his words, then he goes, "All right, that's enough for tonight."
Yeah.
Mark it. And I have an opportunity with the men in my family to be a spiritual leader.
That's
which I failed on,
beautiful.
right? But also give them the opportunity to be the spiritual leaders for their families.
Yeah.
Right?
You're discipling men.
Yep.
That is important to me, right? Because if we talk about any regrets, as I've gone through this, that one tugged on me pretty hard.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's something you kind of look back on, and I mean, it's all in God's perfect timing, so it's exactly how it's supposed to be. But I can also understand, like, oh, this could have only happened when my kids were young,
Right.
whatever it is. But it is in His perfect timing.
I mean, my daughter said, we talked about this pretty in depth when everybody was at the house, and she goes, "As far as I could tell, it was perfect."
Mhm.
right? And that was cool too, like part of this journey. And for me, it was a whisper. I'm going through this, and she posts on her Instagram my favorite day of the week, and there's a picture of the front of her church
Yeah.
with the cross, and I'm like, dude.
Right, we don't know God's plan and his big picture. So it's like if you would have started that when she was young, she might have been in your shoes and been like, nope, not for me. So it is.
No, it worked.
It works.
And through all of it, through my pride and my view of what a man should do and how I want to raise my kids. My wife is still peeking over at me, but I see how I wanted to raise my kids, their perspective on how I raised them, how my wife raised them, and then us together. Right. So my view of it is give you the choice, right, to make the decision.
Yep.
So yeah, it's when I saw that, I was like, woo, and then talking to even my son-in-law, right? Giving him the devotional for Christmas. He's like, man, thank you. Tay is doing this every day. I've been, thinking about doing it. And then he texts me a couple days after they got home. All right, I'm 2 days in. He's reading his devotional every day. So it's like, heck yeah, right? Yeah. So I'm not just affecting, my boys. Now it's, it's going to be a trickle down. They got, they have a boy on the way.
Well, congratulations.
So, and he wasn't raised, religiously or anything. And, so he has questions, and hopefully we can, together as a family, provide those answers and build them in their faith. And, I call him K-Bean because when my daughter first told us, he was the size of a kidney bean. So, when K-Bean is old enough and he can, walk him down that path of faith and, teach him the word. And so it's been pretty important to have the effect on my family.
Yeah. And there's a balance there too. I really appreciate what you're saying, because I think there's an importance to not push your belief system on somebody too heavily, but they should know where to turn when they get curious. And so I was raised in that sort of in line with that. I remember having conversations with my parents, and they were like, hey, like, you do you. If you want to go down the religious path, we're not religious, but if you want to go down that path, we're not going to doubt it. We're not going to question it. We're not going to judge you. But I had no one to turn to for curiosity. So that I spent 40 years with not really knowing where to turn, because I didn't have somebody there. And I was like, well, when I have questions, this is the person to go to. So I
use that every time someone asks me now. That's exactly how I view it.
Yeah.
That was perfect.
And so you can be that now to many, like through the grandchildren and whatever, that they may not want to go down this path, but at least when they get curious, they know exactly where to go. Right? That's who I want to be now with my daughter. The same sort of thing. I'm not going to push anything on her, but I'll send her enough stuff, and I send her snippets out of the Action Bible, and I'll send her things to watch that will relate to whatever I happen to be reading, but in a kid's version. So that I know when she does start to get curious, she'll be like, well, I'll talk to my dad. He knows this stuff.
Heck yeah. See, I never even considered it that beautifully. It's simple.
Be that person.
Aaron always comes with it.
He does.
In men's group, I'm like,
yeah,
I gotta get like this guy.
It's like daily for me. Like, Aaron.
He busts out the notebook and he starts. Like, yeah, for me, I
wrote down some of the stuff you said last week. Was I really there's something. Actually, it's what I wanted to ask you to dive into, because I wrote it down as you were talking. But you really got into like faith comes before the transaction.
Oof. So what were we talking about? We were talking about.
I think there was hints of transactional prayers and.
Yeah, but I related it to a couple of stories, and I can't remember exactly what story that Pastor Jake was talking about.
I reckon I'll have the notes.
See, this is why I said I gotta get.
I know. Yeah. Same.
Oh, it was the if only and even if prayers.
Right. Okay. So I was saying how I wouldn't go and pray because I needed something.
Yeah.
Right. Like to me, it felt, lack of a better word, gross.
Well, you kind of said like you weren't going to do that because you weren't there in the good times. So why would you then be like, hey, help me out?
It also feels weird to ask for help if you know you're doing okay. I've always found that it's like, do I need it? I'm not as bad off as somebody else. So yeah, maybe I'll put it away.
Right.
Like I'll
Let
wait
God
till
have, yeah.
I'll wait.
So then, if somebody needed something, if, somebody's sick or, somebody passed or, people are struggling, you just, you pray that person is, home and, or pray to give them strength and resolve through it all. And so it's like the transaction part of it for me wasn't there because I'm not like, I'm going to just go do and, the outcome is going to be the outcome. And I don't know, I can't say if it's thinking back on, I don't feel good about saying if it's his will, because that's not where I was at, right? Like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, right? That's still, God's going to help it, but no real recognition, right? So I don't want to say in the past tense that that's how I viewed it. But the transaction part of it is kind of gross. Like, you know what I mean?
Like if you do this, I will. If you get me this job, I will pray every day. Like that kind of stuff.
The funny thing with that is, right, and I'll just use our relationships, men and women, right? How would it be if I wish I could use that acronym, but I cannot. Date night, right? We go out on date night. You say we're not even married. We're going out on the date night. I take you to dinner. We go on a date. We have a couple drinks. The man has an expectation. It's a transaction before we even start down the path of having a relationship or really, do we connect, right? Do we absolutely connect before, the intimacy, we'll say, it's transactional.
Yeah.
It's the first date. Like, you know what I mean? Like I took you to, where did we go on our first date, babe? Like Del Taco or something, right? Like I had this expectation as a 19-year-old, like, woohoo.
Oh.
But that's how we run our lives, right? Everything that we do is transactional with no real commitment from, I'll say myself, right? I'm doing something, I expect something. It's kind of a gross situation.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, babe, I'll take the trash out, provided you cook me dinner.
Well, self-serving. It's all about me, right? It's all about me. Like, I did this, so I deserve this.
How much do you do? And have zero expectation on the back end.
Very little.
Right? Like zero expectation on the back end. And it's kind of a gross situation. Even so much so that my wife runs in the house after driving from Aspen to Glenwood, cooks dinner, right? And I'm like, oh, do I feel like washing the dish?
Yes, you do. The answer is yes, you do. Get up and wash the dishes.
But it's a thought.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I've been home for 3 or 4 hours. It's kind of crappy, right? Where we put ourselves in that. And I can't even think of all the times she must have been PO'd with me because I was being transactional in our relationship. But there's times where she's transactional.
Oh, right? For sure. We're all human.
How you haven't picked up the dog poop.
Right.
That's your gig, right? It's transactional. And I find it to be worse on this level. You have no faith. You're not doing anything to live by the word, but yet you want something in return.
Yeah, it's weak.
Right? Like
there's a lot of weakness in the world.
It's like, what in the world is that? So this isn't a transaction. I get up in the morning, I'm up early, and I would make my coffee, and then I wouldn't make my wife's coffee, right? Because I'm out of the house 2 hours early, right? Well, at some point I was like, oh, it kind of sucks. I don't know why. Just kind of sucks. So I get up, I make my coffee, I grind her beans, have it ready for her to push the button when she gets up.
Yeah.
I put her creatine and her minerals out and put her vitamins out with no other hope than that she starts her morning. Right. Yep. Right. Like I haven't done that very long. Right. I don't know what the switch was, but there needed to be something that wasn't transactional. It was well before this conversation we had the other day or that sermon. but I think with me going into this, the transactions were already there. I've been paid in full
Yeah.
right off the bat from the sacrifice.
Yeah.
I don't even deserve that.
Which came with zero expectation.
Right. I don't even deserve that.
No.
Right. When I think about the man that I have been in the using seasons of my life, because it's used so much, but in the seasons of my life, right? I don't deserve that.
No.
But everything that I can now see that I give credit to, like the transactions were already there, right? Like I just didn't pay attention to who was paying them and who was really bringing them to fruition. It certainly wasn't just me,
Yeah.
right? It certainly wasn't me and my weakness and sin. And so it's like, it was already there. I could have ignored this, right? And I could have been the only if you do this, I'll believe the rest of everything you've been showing me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's pretty interesting, right? And maybe not everyone is smacked in their face like me. For whatever reason, he said, I need you to open your heart and mind and unclench your fist now.
Oh, I love that.
And
Right,
you listened.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Well, if you ever see me pray at men's group, my hands are always like this.
Because you heard that.
Because it's like, I was like this, like absolutely like a
white knuckle.
Yeah. Like, and that just like every time I pray and my hands are up like this, or if I hear a song and I just do that, like I feel it. Like I feel the presence. So the transaction part of me is, okay, if you want to only if you need to look back, right? And maybe you're getting smacked with that feeling or that trough or that bump in the road, whatever, however you look at it, as, hey, you need to wake up. You need to come back here. You need to wake up and you need to check yourself. Open up the book, go to church, pray, whatever it is, but you need to open your eyes. And then, when we were in men's group and we talked about it, I think that was one of the things I brought up was, Simon Peter, on the boat.
I love that scene. It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
He comes out, he says, you can see Jesus walking to him. He's walking on the water, right? And there's this turmoil, and the sea is writhing and just going crazy. And, he steps out of the boat on faith.
Looking at Jesus.
And it's all
eyes
working
on Jesus.
so well. And it's going perfectly to plan.
It's going perfectly as planned, right? That faith is what caused that. Now, as he lost faith, he started to sink in.
Started looking around at all the other stuff.
Looking at the distractions, looking at the storm, focusing on the bad things in his life.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like, look, the transaction was, dude, you stepped out of the boat on water.
Yeah.
It was paid in full.
Yeah.
As soon as you put your feet on that water, and then as soon as you started to lose your faith, right? You had the faith.
Gone.
Yeah.
You had the faith to step out of the boat. Keep that faith.
Yeah.
And the transaction's going to hold. Right? Like you have to walk in faith. Blind faith, whatever you want to call it, it's done. As long as you have that, it is done. I could look back on all of my life and just go, wow, 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 wow. There's nothing that I've ever said I want to do, I need, this is where I want to be, that hasn't come to fruition, right? Through all my mistakes and blunders and sin and malarkey and anger and whatever you want to call it, like it's all been there.
Yeah.
So what choice do I have but to say, hey, I got, yep. I turn around and look behind me. I got to understand that I've been paid. Like, the transaction's there. So I can just say, oh, this is my new walk in faith. Right. And never look back and still. So then I'm going to hold on to that pride and that control that I did all those things. And with my new understanding of where all this comes from, like, we've gone through it. We've struggled. We've paid dues, if you will. And there's a level of it that comes from that perseverance, right? Like the diligence and the clawing up and things like that. But there's a better portion of it in my head that I couldn't have got through, right? Like I would have never made it through if it wasn't for maybe that's just that little glimmer, maybe it was me and maybe it was my wife off in the corner going, he don't believe in you, but I do.
Yeah.
She nods, yes.
She's nodding over there.
So yeah, it has to be faith first. The transactions are there, right? We just have to realize that it's not us. We got to step, especially as men, we got to get out of our pride and get out of our ego and understand that like coming through this it's not easy. It's not, it doesn't mean because you say, I surrender, Jesus, you're my Lord and Savior. Doesn't mean that the trials and, temptations, to anger or, temptation to go pound, 5 whiskeys, real quick isn't going to come. It's just, we got to look at it and say, yeah, the transactions behind me, that's already been paid.
Right.
It's like you step out of the boat. You had to start with faith. Walk to him in faith, right?
Keep your eyes on him.
Keep your eyes on him.
Like the transaction is done as soon as you step out. The problem is we always want more, right? We all. What did you expect to fly off the water when you went over there?
Yeah. Where were you? What was the outcome here?
Right.
Yeah.
You walked up to him. You looked him in the eye. You were standing on water. What more will you need?
Exactly, right? So if we look at that in just our day to day, we're always looking for more. I got exactly what I asked for, but now I'm asking for even more. I got to where
That's transactional. Yeah.
That's turning faith transactional too.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if faith is it, right? And in my head, that's it. Have the faith. You got to do the hard work still, but just keep having the faith.
Yeah.
You don't, and maybe it's the easy button, right? Tapping the easy button, is what we expect.
Right.
Again, I'm going to go back to God's perfect timing. It's not going to happen until it's in his plan to happen for you for whatever reason, but the transaction is already done.
Right.
Like it's easy. Faith first, transaction has been there. You see that end result in his timing. You got to understand it's his timing. That's when you're going to see the transaction, not, up Instagram, 5-minute easy button, double tap. Oh, I got 5 people. It's pretty funny.
I heard a pastor say just this week, and it really resonates with what you're saying, which makes me think what you're saying is so much more profound. But he talked about there's this misnomer in Christianity that if we put our faith in Jesus, then we'll receive an abundant life. And that's transactional. What he's saying is Jesus is the abundance. Once you put your faith in him, you don't need anything else. You have received abundance. It might not look like what we think abundance looks like, but as soon as your faith is in Jesus, you have the abundance that you think you're going to be rewarded with later. It's there.
He is the abundance.
Well, that's what I said. The
Transaction was first.
Yeah.
The transaction happened over 2,000 years ago.
Right.
We have to realize that was the transaction. Faith, and then I think that faith in God's will, in his timing, those things that we're looking for, whether it's, the comforts or whatever it is, those are going to come. But I don't see, especially for me, I don't see how I can move forward without having that faith and keeping it and continuing to pursue some semblance of walking the path that was laid for me to walk, right? It just doesn't make any sense. It's been too loud. It's been crystal clear. And then, again, like,
I would love to break that down at some point, maybe in another episode. Because something we often talk about is, I think God talks to everybody in different ways. And we see there's a couple of guys at the church in the men's group that are always like, well, he never talks to me. How come he talks to you? Or like, he never talks to me. And we have a working theory that if you're not in the right place, you won't hear the message. And we mean that physically and mentally.
Well, speaking of transactions, I'm very hungry. And we made you dinner for coming and doing this with us.
Any final word?
Yeah.
No, I appreciate and I'm honored to, be the first guest. I'm honored that you guys invited us over for that. I can't wait for the elk chili. anybody listening that's, questioning it, I'm happy to have a conversation
Yeah.
with anybody, and tell the full story and maybe a bit coherently. I know we can, on a pod, it starts to roll all over the place. But yeah, anybody that, wants to talk about it, guy at westerncontours.com is the easiest way to reach me. But yeah, I just, humbled that you guys have me here. I can't wait for the chili, and I appreciate it. And, I'll just capitalize on what they say at church because it's easy for me, and love God, love people.
Well, love God, love people. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely.
To anyone listening, we can change the world with 12 followers. So if you got anything out of this, if you had a laugh or anything you can take away, share this with someone. We want to get this word out. Like I said, we can change the world with 12 followers, but it requires the sharing of the word. So share it out, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.